Let's bring in CIF Commissioner Jerry Schniepp. Jerry, are you happy with the way week one went in the high school football schedule?
Went great. I think we had a good week of football as always, and I don't believe we had a football ejection, so real happy about that. Good week.
All right, let's talk about what is a hot topic, high school football transfers. John Maffey in the UT, I thought, wrote a great article a week or so ago about laying out how there's a perception now that it's the Wild Wild West show, that kids can go play wherever they want to. Would you like to speak to that perception?
I would. So I acknowledge there is that perception, Paul, but I can tell you it's not reality. John's article did a great job of summarizing, the transfer situation in San Diego. We are not other parts of California where there is a severe transfer issue. We have over 60,000 kids playing sports in San Diego, and last year we had less than 1,000 transfer, which is about 1.6%. So we haven't seen an uptick. There's been a slight rule change, but overall, Paul, our rules are the same.
Well, it's not such a slight rule change. Now, it used to be a kid could not transfer for athletic reasons, right, or be athletically motivated. Basically, it was impossible to enforce with the 4 people that you have in your office. So you said, yeah, now kids can transfer for athletic reasons. And is that going to open the floodgate for super teams? Are we going to have like the Golden State Warriors at Helix High or something like that?
I don't believe so. So let me say this. I said slight effect because over the years, this is my 7th year as a commissioner, we've declared about 10 kids over those 6 years ineligible because of athletic motivation. So there wasn't a lot being denied because of it. Now kids can transfer, and athletic motivation is not a part of it, but you still cannot follow your club coach. You still cannot be recruited to a school. All those rules are still in place, and if you don't make a valid change of residence, you're going to do the sit-out period, or there has to be some sort of a hardship.
Maybe it's because it's the kids that are changing. Now it's some real high-profile kids. Isaac Taylor Stewart from Saints went to become a Scotty. Malachi Russell left Orange Glen to go north, play for El Camino. There's some prominent kids who people know about that are transferring. Is this the new normal? I mean, is this going to be this way every year, do you think?
Well, I'll say this. Our society has changed, Paul. There's a lot more information out there. We have a lot more schools than we used to have. And there are a lot more relaxed transfer policies with school districts. And so I think there are going to be kids changing school no matter what we do. But I do not see this rule change having an effect on the power schools or the schools that struggle. Kids are going to go to school where they're going to go to school. People have choices. They're going to make those choices.
But it will have an effect in that you're going to have these well, I guess this graphic illustrates it. I'm going to put up 2. These are the top 10 side by side, the one at the end of last year and the current one right now. Basically, you have the same 10 schools in a slightly different order, but you're going to just have the same 10 teams that are going to vie for an open division title.
So I would tell you that is not new. I don't believe that's a new trend. We went to competitive divisions because we knew schools often stay strong or they struggle. So now they're in divisions where they can compete with other schools like them. So that part is not new, or I don't believe has changed. And we could take another sport and find 10 schools that are probably pretty similar to the 10 schools that were there last year in that sport, and it's a totally different list than what's there for football. For some communities, some sports are better than others because it's prominent in that community and their youth programs or whatever it may be. So I don't see that as something new. I see that as something that's been the case for quite some time.
What is the role of passing camps and youth coaches? How is that affecting kids maybe not playing at the school they grew up right next door and are now going to go follow their youth coach's advice and go play somewhere else? Or maybe they meet a kid at passing camp and say, hey, I want to play with Jimmy at a different school that's out of their region.
So club programs, I think, have always had that effect. We're seeing more of it in football because of the emergence of 7-on-7 passing leagues. So I think that's always been there, or at least it's been there for a while to a degree, just not in football. But bottom line, Paul, is a good parent is going to be choosing a school for its total program, most of which I'd be concerned with academics. That's why you need to choose a school, is because of the academic program. And I think most kids, the vast majority of kids, are playing in the schools in the communities where they grew up.
What are the coaches' role in this? It used to be back in the day the coach was as much a part of the academic institution that they worked at as they were on the football team. Now it seems like most of the coaches come from off-site. are those coaches less motivated to follow the rule book, or is there corner cutting taking place?
I would say, given your list, Paul, we can take any good program in any sport, and the main reason that program is strong over a period of time is the head coach. There are so many quality head coaches in San Diego that do a great job and follow the rules. But we also have about 80% of our coaches now are walk-ons, and that's the norm in California. Most coaches are not teachers on campus, so that part of it has changed. I think those coaches are obviously not as knowledgeable about the rules and are not as vested in the school as an on-campus teacher would be that is a full-time employee at the school.
And is that just a budgetary thing?
Absolutely, 100%. It's a budget. It started to change in 1978 when Proposition 13 passed in California, and I think we've seen it grow ever since, that our numbers continue to grow in walk-on coaches, some of which are fantastic coaches and people, by the way.
The bigger problem that I see for high school football are declining numbers. Westview announced today they're dropping their JV program. Programs all around the county are reporting fewer kids are playing tackle football. How concerned are you about the future of the very game we're talking about?
I'm concerned. It's definitely worth being concerned over. We've seen about a 2% decrease in California over the last year in participation in football. So parents have more information than they've ever had, and they're making conscious decisions of at what risks they want to put their child in. I will say this, that there's risk in football, there's risk in any sport. The sport, in my opinion, has never been safer than it is today. The training that we mandate for our coaches, the mandatory periods of rest, practice time limitations, when there is a concussion or a serious injury, there's mandated time off. We have done a better job, I think, in what we've instituted in the last couple of years across the country. The game has never been safer, but parents still have to make that choice for their own child.
And yet new facilities are propping up. Crawford's going to eventually have a new facility. Hilltop's going to have a new facility. The fact that they're multi-sport facilities, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wasting money on a football program that might not be there. I guess it has to be multiple functional facilities.
And they are.
Yeah.
There's lots of sports that are played, including the part of the curriculum that PE classes often use those facilities.
Can I ask you, why aren't those stadiums ready by now? Crawford's been at it for a couple of years. Hilltop's, all those seniors thought they were going to be playing at their brand new stadium. It's not like they're putting domes in. What's taking so long to get a stadium built?
It's frustrating for those school districts, Paul. I can tell you that. There's construction issues. There's construction delays. We had a pretty wet winter. I think all those things were factors, and they're just delayed.
Lastly, your next headache will be in a few short weeks. People complaining about the power rankings and their seedings in the upcoming playoffs. You've made a switch. Explain it, and why did it make it?
So our coaches advisory this year, football coaches advisory, voted 7-1 to change from the San Diego section power rankings to max preps. It's a similar ranking. It's a little more detailed than ours, and if you look at the history comparing max preps to our rankings, they're very close. But there was a couple fairly significant differences last year too, and our coaches wanted to make a change, so we went that direction.
Thank you for making your State of the Sport address. We'll have you back for the second address right before the gala.
Thank you for everything you do, Paul.
All right.